What's up, Titans fans, and welcome to another episode of Titans Global Podcast. I'm your host, Maximus Titan Fan. Is with me, as always, is my good buddy Link. What's up, dude? Oh, we've got some kind of technical difficulty going on with Link here. Um, but yeah, man, if you're joining us, we want you to be on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. Check out our YouTube channel. Like, subscribe. Do all that good stuff. Um, But if you want to watch us anywhere else, that's cool too. We're pretty much everywhere you're at. So get in there, like, subscribe, and comment, man. Comment. That's what we want. We want your input. We want you to join the conversation. Sounds like we got Link now. What's up,
You got
dude?
me? You got me?
Yeah, I got you.
There we go. Sorry, technical difficulties kind of looked like the Titans this last week, but yeah, rough start. But yeah, he pretty much said it. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're already subscribed, give us a share. We want to get out there as much as we can to everybody. A lot to talk about tonight. I know I've got a lot to say. I know y'all as Titans fans have a lot to say. So we'll get right into it.
Yeah, and as always, we are sponsored by Red Zone Builders, experts in excavating. Red Zone Builders. What's up, guys? Um, Yeah, man. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a little bit hoarse. And the reason is I was screaming all day yesterday. Um, well, most of the day anyway, because the Titans really they didn't do hmm. It's hard for me to put into words what it was yesterday because I really enjoy going to a game. There is nothing that can replicate. I put out a video on YouTube. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen it, but there is nothing that can replicate a live game situation when you're expecting nothing to happen and all of a sudden somebody breaks loose and scores a touchdown. The whole place goes nuts. Everybody's all of a sudden your best friend. Everybody's hugging and high fiving everybody. I mean, it's a really, really cool experience. Not only that, the place goes so crazy that it vibrates. It literally vibrates. So, but at the same time, I live all the way by Knoxville, so it's like a 3.5 hour drive for me.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I drive 3.5 hours, I really want them to win. But shout out to Scoob, by the way, man. That's the whole reason I got to go check out this cool chain he made me. I mean, shout out to Scoob, man. I really hope he wins Fan of the Year. I'll be honest with you, man. He does a lot, and he's a really cool guy. So I kind of hope he does. But if not, whatever. There's always next year. But anyway, God, I don't know, man. I don't know where to start. You got
So,
any starting places
so
for
I
me?
mean, okay, let's start here. You just went into, you were at the game, you saw it from a live point of view. What are the emotion? I mean, the highs I know have to be super high because at this point we're
Yeah.
just excited to see touchdowns. I mean, Nick Westbrook-Akine catches a touchdown. I imagine the whole place just loses their freaking minds because one, it's Nick Westbrook-Akine who should be getting more targets than he is in this offense, and two,
Yep.
it's like, wow, Will Levis actually did something halfway decent and looked like a football player, looked like an NFL quarterback, I guess. So with you being there live, the highs, the lowest, the lows, when you see the mistakes, when you see it, like does the energy just get sucked out of that stadium at that point? Like is everybody at that same momentum?
Yeah, man. It's just like, there was one particular drive, and look, I'm not gonna sit here and say the refs lost us the game because there are plenty of reasons other than that. But there was one particular drive where the Colts literally got like two or three third down conversions on penalty.
Yeah.
DPIs or just stupid crap. And they weren't clear cut penalties, so in my eyes, I feel like the refs were calling dumb shit. But anyway, the point is yes, when you got them on third down, you know what I mean? You've held them. You might even have them like 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 11 even, and you're just everybody standing up, trying to make as much noise as possible for the defense to make, and then all of a sudden, boom,
Yeah.
They make the great play, and Brownlee's called for a DPI, which is complete bullcrap, or Sneed, whichever one you want to pick. That looked ridiculous to me, but it absolutely sucks the air out. I mean, there was times where it was just me and Scoob standing up out of our whole section, and we were in the end zone section, 6 seats from the field. So I mean, that's where your diehards were. I was like 4 rows over from Chile.
There
I
you
mean,
go.
that's how it was. It was sick where I
Yeah.
was. It was amazing, but yeah, man, when you see something like that, it just sucks the heart out of everything.
Yep. Well, that's kind of what the season feels like. I mean, it just feels like at this point when you could easily be, I mean, you could just as easily be 4-1 as you are 1-4. I mean, that's what this season kind of feels like. And, all these are 1-point games. And, before the season started, you were promised this new 21st century offense. We're going to throw the ball. We're going to push the ball downfield. We're going to move the chains. And then you get here, you get the weapons, you go spend the most money in free agency, you bring in guys like Ridley to be weapons on this offense, and you can see his frustration. I mean, I'm sure everybody's seen the video by now, but that's what this
Yep.
season feels like. It just feels like the energy's been sucked out, and I think this team is starting to feel the same exact way, and something's got to change. I mean, something's got to change, and I don't know. I still have more questions than answers at this point because the play calling doesn't look good. The quarterback play obviously doesn't look good. I mean, I guess the offensive line got somewhat better. I mean, they've allowed 1 sack in 2 weeks, which I guess is good. But when you see this defense and how talented this defense is, I knew they were going to lose that game when Tennessee comes with that 3 and out. After the I think it was they went down and scored. The offense comes back out, goes 3 and out. The defense comes out, holds them again. This defense allowed 0 points off all the turnovers the offense had. And then the Titans have a 3 and out, and then another 3 and out, and they're just pulling that defense right back into the game with 0 time to rest. It's just I don't know how they fix it. I don't know where they go from here. I don't, and that's the problem.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about where we go from here and what we think are some of the ways we could maybe fix some of this stuff. This was one of the highlights of my night. I finally got to meet Matt in person. Blueface, that was pretty cool. Been talking to him for a while online now. We're all part of the network, I guess, so I mean, I don't agree with the second comment, but the first comment, I can't really, that's the thing, man. I can't say you're wrong anymore. At 1-4, you can't say that we don't suck because we do. We suck. We're at the same level the Jaguars are.
Yeah.
And then and we still have Pat. Yes, we still have people out there defending Will Levis, saying that it's all offense fault or play calling, and I mean there's a bunch of stuff. We're going to get into all that stuff tonight, but but
Look, it's a bad team. It's a bad team. It is what it is, and I think the really frustrating part, just to kind of throw this out there first, is the Titans are a better team than the Colts. I mean, they are. They have more talent.
yeah,
They have a better quarterback. He's just sitting on the bench. But they're a more talented team than the Colts. They were a more talented team than the Packers on that day. They were a more talented team against the Bears, and they still found ways and managed to lose those games. So yeah, I mean, you can call it for what it is. It's not a good team. They're not gelled together. They're not meshed together. They have to start playing to their strengths, and I just don't know if they know what their strengths are.
here's my point. Okay, and this is my main point for the negativity part. I've got a couple other negative things to say, but this is the biggest part of it. Will Levis has disappointed me on a number of levels, to the point to where I'm almost disgusted with the dude. I got the dude. I mean, I got a custom fucking painting of the guy. So I mean, it's not like I wasn't thinking that he was gonna be good. And don't think I ain't got his back. But I'm sorry, it's hard to defend a guy when you keep. I was at the game, and there were so many throws in the dirt,
Mhm.
or I mean, just flat underthrown. I hear all the excuses. Well, let it open up the playbook. Let him throw it deep. How can you trust this guy?
Yep.
I mean, 3 times they went deep. 2 times it was almost intercepted, and 1 time it was.
Yep. He could have thrown 4 picks in that game. If you go back and watch the tape, there were 4 interceptions in that game. And it brings me back to last year. You
Drop.
remember,
Yeah.
and that's the thing about last year.
We
Last
said
year
it.
he showed those flashes, but we said it. We said, look, in these games, he's getting lucky. Half of these throws should be interceptions. Well, guess
Yes.
what? Now they are. So we've seen, I mean, it's not like nobody could see this coming. I mean, yes, we thought there was going to be more talent there because we saw
Yep.
those flashes last year, but I haven't seen a flash this year at all. And what that tells me is he's regressed as a quarterback. And I think that's why you can't just point the finger at him. You have to point it at the coaching staff for the development because we've seen a regression. We saw him in a worse offense with a worse offensive line make decent plays.
And
We
not
don't
only
see that
that,
now.
he didn't make the bonehead play. He didn't make that bonehead play that you question, like the sacks that he was just lobbing passes out there, or the fact that he's going head to head with a linebacker. You don't have to do that. He didn't. He slid twice. Me and Scoop were talking about. We were like, "Oh my God, he actually slid! Holy
You could
crap! Who got
you could
through to
hear
him?"
it. You could hear it on the TV, the applause in the crowd for a 3-yard slide. A 3-yard
Yes.
slide. That's where we're at as Titans fans, is we're cheering and applauding a 3-yard slide because that's the best we've got from him.
So this man doesn't make the bonehead play. He doesn't make the Will Levis play that we all expect him to make, even though he was intercepted. That wasn't a bonehead play. It was just underthrown. It was just a poorly thrown ball.
Mhm.
And so he doesn't make any of the, and he still manages a way to lose the game.
Mhm.
And it's not that, oh, well, he wasn't like I said, what are you going to do? Open up an offense that the man can't operate? I mean, they couldn't even get the snap off in time. I mean, it was a, so my question is how long are we going to have to sit and watch him as a starter on this team?
I mean, I've been out for weeks at this point. I mean, I still don't. You could have had Rudolph come into that game and do everything that Levis did in that game plan. The way that they were the way that they were calling plays, I don't understand why Levis was out there. He said himself after the game, well, I was maybe 70%. I wasn't 100%. It may have been tougher to make some of those throws. Okay, then why are you in the game? And I don't know if that's a coaching staff decision or if that's Levis before the game and they're like, hey, are you good to go? And he's assuring them, yeah, I'm good to go. And then after the game, he says, I'm 70%. I don't
Oh, yeah,
know.
I'm still
I,
hurt. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm not in the building. I don't know who's making those decisions, but with the way they called that game, you say you want to figure out if Levis is the guy. How are you going to figure out if he's the guy when you run the ball when he's handing off for 75% of the game? That's the issue I have. And yes, they opened up the pass game, but not until later. And that's what Ridley was saying: was get me involved early. I'm a playmaker. I'm a weapon. Get me involved early. Get me in a rhythm, because those type of dudes have to get in a rhythm. So I can get where he's coming from. Now, the arguments to be made, yes, there were balls he should have caught, but everybody wants to talk about the 8 targets, no catches. I would say half those targets were uncatchable balls. I mean, so for me, it's just I don't know why he's still in the game. I just don't get it.
Yeah, man. You know, uh, even up until last week, I was I'll be honest with you. Most of my friends and anybody who actually knows me, I wasn't putting it out on social media, but I was hoping that Levis was going to be too injured to play this game. I was hoping that Mason Kinsey was going to play because I knew how important this game was. Excuse me, Mason Rudolph. I don't know why I call him Mason Kinsey all the time. Maybe because Mason's been around Titans so long, I've just enveloped him into my
I
vocabulary.
mean, he's been with the Titans and hasn't got an opportunity, so he's kind of just like Mason Rudolph.
Exactly. But you know, I really wanted him to start. But the fact that that it didn't happen, and then Levis didn't make the bad call, but still lost the game for. I don't see how anybody can still sit there and say this is 100% the coaching staff. Because if I'll be honest with you, we were talking about it before the show, and I'm gonna put it out there because I just don't care anymore. I honestly feel like it's Rand Carthon. Some people said Amy Adams Strunk was the reason that he was starting. I just think that's crazy. We don't have a Jerry Jones owner. Okay. She's not involved to the point to where she's, making the coach make decisions. I don't think that's our owner. I think she hired a guy to do that. And that's who Rand Carthon is. And I can tell you, I was like 25 feet from Rand Carthon on the sideline. And he was pissed. The whole fourth quarter, he was like a statue, dude. He didn't scratch his nose or nothing. He stood there with his arms folded, watching the game like he was pissed. And I would be too. Man, if my diamond in the rough was making me look like a effing idiot on live television 6 weeks in a row, he only played for 2 drives in the Miami game and still figured out a way to turn the ball over. He's turned the ball over every single game this year.
Leads the league in interceptions.
Some multiple times. Yeah.
And I think you're probably right. And unfortunately, I think that might be the case. But that speaks volumes to how much of a bigger problem they have here. And I'm going to get a little in depth on that, because if you remember, there was all the rumors that Vrabel wasn't a fan of Levis and wasn't a fan of Levis being in the game. And maybe there was something to that, because now we're at the point where I'm not going to say that Callahan is sabotaging this offense, but it kind of feels like he's not setting him up for success. And but that's a bigger problem, because if you have a GM who wants this to be your quarterback and a coach who doesn't want it to be your quarterback, you end up just like Vrabel did last year. So I don't know. I'm hoping that's not it, but signs are kind of pointing that direction. And at that point, even though, yes, I don't think Amy's making these decisions, as a fan and as an owner of this football team, she's going to have to step in and do something about it, because she watches the game. She may not be involved on a day-to-day basis, but she watches these games, and she has to see it the way that we see it. There is one person in that building who wants Levis as the starter, and it's just figuring out who that is. Because if it's Amy, then we're screwed. If it's Amy, we're screwed anyway, and we just have to accept it. But if it's Carthon, she might have to come in and put a hand on this and say, hey, we need to try to win some football games, or we're going to lose a lot bigger pieces to this team, because there are guys getting frustrated. You can see it.
Well, for our old school fans, this has very, very Vince Young, Jeff Fisher vibes.
Absolutely.
And that didn't work out well for either guy, if you remember.
Or Vince
Neither
Young.
one of them. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Neither one of them were in the league
situation.
after that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Reese was fired. Young was fired. Young wasn't fired, but he was let go.
Yep.
Nobody won. Everybody the bed on that one. Nobody was good. But let's stop talking about Will Levis and how bad he is. Is Mason Kinsey the answer?
Rudolph.
Dang it. I did it again.
You'll get there.
All right. So anyway, is Mason Rudolph the answer? And my question is, not long term, no. But is he good enough to, and people keep saying, nah, man, please keep playing Levis so we tank. All right. I get that view, but I've never been a guy to tank for a player. I'm not that dude. I love winning too much. As a coach, as a former player, I like winning. I know what that, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you're an 11-loss team and 3 or 4 wins. Those 3 or 4 wins really mean a lot to you. So I like winning. And is he the guy? No, but he gives me the best chance of winning right now. Not only that, it's not like he's that bad of a quarterback to get us through, I mean, even if you don't like the draft picks that are coming out this year and you want to wait until next year, what's up, bud? What's up? Even if you don't like the draft picks this year, you want to wait till next year. Mason Rudolph is the guy that I feel like can run your offense even for a full season enough to keep us in the playoff running.
Yeah,
We might even be able to get into the playoffs now. We've switched to Tannehill when we were 2-4.
dude.
We're
I was just about to say I would like to again offer my public apology to Ryan Tannehill because God, what I would give for a Ryan Tannehill right now. What I would give to have a Ryan Tannehill at this moment. And yeah, you're right. Rudolph could be that guy.
yeah, and that's really what and that's what I'm saying, Michael. You band-aid the season
Yeah,
and win games right now.
yeah.
And I don't I mean I don't know how many times me and Scoop said it at the game because we were talking about running the ball a lot. I don't care how they win the games. I don't care if they run the ball 50 times, if Mason Rudolph has to be the guy. I don't care. I just want to win
Yeah.
because that's the kind of fan I am. I want the Titans to win. I want to win out the season. Now, I don't think we're going to win the next 2 games, but that's why I say it's not a big deal to throw Mason Rudolph out there and see what he's got. I
I
think he'll
think
run Callahan's quick read system a lot better than Will Levis would.
yeah, I agree with that. And I think the dilemma they're faced with, just on the devil's advocate side, is once Will Levis is gone, he's gone. Gone. I mean, you're if you bench him right now, you're looking for a new quarterback. And
Yeah,
and I
it's done.
think that's part of what's factoring into Callahan Carthon's decision to leave him in these games is once you move on, you've got to find somebody else. They're always thinking 2 steps ahead. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to do mock draft Mondays. I'm not ready for that yet in coming up into week 6. But
No.
yeah, it's Mason Rudolph is not the guy to fix this season. I don't even think he gets you to the playoffs. I just think you've seen what you need to see in Levis right now. And I wouldn't be shocked if we see some moves before the trade deadline to try to build up some draft capital because there is some things you have to fix in this offseason. And that's what concerns me. And yeah, in my opinion, I would want to see Rudolph out there because even if they run the same system, he can do what Will Levis did just as good. He can hand the ball off. He can make medium throws. I mean, he can do those things. He's won his last 4 regular season games. So yeah, I say give the dude a shot. He looked calm. He looked collective when he went in the game. He did what he had to do. He didn't make mistakes, and that's the only win of the season. So I don't know where the headspace of this decision making is at with after the game still saying that Levis is our quarterback. I think there at least has to be some controversy at this point.
Yeah, and look, man, people want to talk about bad play call at the game. And to be honest, I feel like, other than, him handcuffing the quarterback situation to a 10-yard or less reception, whether that's a product of whatever, I'm not going to talk about that right now. The play I am going to talk about is the 4th and 1 when we were on, I think, the 49. So we're basically at midfield. It's in the 4th quarter. We're in the lead. And it's a 4th and 1. Might have been less than 1, might have been a full yard. Doesn't matter to me. Why did we not go for it there? There's like 7.5 minutes left in the game. If you go for it right there and you put points on the board and you put them down by 2 scores, it's a completely different tone. Now they have to throw it. There's no more run game into it. So I don't know. I was a little disappointed in that play call that he went straight to Stonehouse, punted, and then it ended up going through the end zone, and they got a touchback, so it didn't really matter anyway. It was only like a 32-yard shift or something like that.
Yeah.
In my eyes, that was the only bad play call I saw personally at the game.
Well, I would argue just the scheme itself was flawed. Like there was situations like there was a very game shifting moment in my opinion. It was right when they started that interception, punt, turnover. It was when they started that series, but it was essentially they had an 8-yard run on first down with Pollard, who was
Mm-hmm.
excellent, by the way, on Sunday. They get an 8-yard run, and then they throw 2 screen passes behind the line of scrimmage to try to pick it up on the outside. When you have an interior that's banged up with the Colts, why not continue your run game at least on third down? Or if you're going to pass, push it down the field. And they're trying to get these swing passes to happen, and it's not working. They're covered up. And so for me, that just says that Will Levis isn't trusted to make those throws. That's where I see the problem with the coaching staff. Because if you don't if I'm Callahan, and I'm on the sidelines and I'm seeing these things, I'm seeing us not pick up first downs, and I'm seeing our defense have to go out time after time after time and try to lift this offense up. If I'm seeing that, I don't care what Carthon says. If it costs me, if winning a game costs me my job, then so be it. So be it. That's my problem with the coaching staff. It's not necessarily a play call. It's just the scheme and the way that they're trying to do things. If you're not going to open up the passing game, why even have him in there? That's my issue. That's where I see the bigger fault, and that essentially falls on Callahan. Now, I mean, take into account this is his first year on the sidelines. He's been in the booth his entire career as a coordinator and assistant. So, yeah, I mean, there may be some getting used to that, but you have to be able to get play calls in. And when the clock's ticking down to double zeros and Will Levis is back there slapping his hands trying to get the ball before they get a delay a game, at least 20, 25 plays. I mean, it had to be. The play call was coming in late every single time. That's on the coaching staff. Something isn't clicking right on the sidelines. That's why those plays happen. So it's just the things like that. It's the special teams. I think Stonehouse is like 5th in the league for gross punt yardage. But Tennessee is not good at starting defensive line because they're getting returns every single time. That's coaching staff. It's just things like that I'm seeing that have me scratching my head and wondering, who's calling the shots, because Callahan's got to get this figured out.
Yeah, look, man, do I think Callahan's bad at offensive play calling? No. I actually think he's got a good game plan. I like the way he schemes things up. I like most of the plays that he calls. Some of them I'm a head scratcher, but most of the time I'm like, yeah, I could see why he would think that would work, or I could see why he went with that. It makes logical sense to me. However, as a first-time head coach and a first-time play caller, I think that is a bad recipe. I think basically any head coach that calls the plays, offensive or defensive, is a bad recipe. But that's why you have coordinators. But at the same time, I understand why he wants it. He just needs to figure out what he wants more. Do you want to call plays more and be an offensive coordinator, or do you want to be a head coach?
Yep.
Head coaches say, I want a passing play, or I want to, I want to expose the right side or whatever. And then the offensive coordinator says, all right, I got a play for that. And he goes through his book and he finds the right play and he calls it. That's how that works. But when you're the head coach and you're arguing with refs about a play that just happened, and then you have to come up with a play call within the same 40 seconds, that's not easy to do. So, like I said, he just needs to figure out what he wants to do. You want to be a head coach, you want to be an offensive coordinator that calls the plays.
Yep.
One or the other.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a real good point. And I agree wholeheartedly. And I think he's got to give some of that up if he wants to be successful in this league. You can still be in the quarterback's ear.
Mm-hmm.
You can still be changing the play at the line. You can still be shifting how you want to shift. But at some point, you need a voice because they're seeing things from in the air. They're seeing it all 22. It's hard when you're on that sideline to be able to feel kind of where everything's at. And I don't know. It's frustrating because I like Callahan and I agree with you. I think he does have some good to him. But we have a developing coach and an undeveloped quarterback, and that's just been a recipe for disaster. It's been a recipe for disaster for this year, and I'm hoping, and that's why I feel like a veteran like Rudolph could come in and make those decisions. Because trust me, Will Levis is not changing the play at the line. If Will Levis
Mm-mm.
sees something he doesn't like, he's still going with the same play that was called. And I feel like Rudolph, being a veteran, would see something and he would have the go ahead and the green light to change that. But Levis is on such a short leash. They're running the play they call. He's not seeing the field. He's not going through his progressions on every single throw, and it's costing the team. It's costing the offense,
Yeah,
and it's costing the team.
yeah. I mean, that's all right. Yeah, we're gonna try to move off of Levis and Callahan, but this is gonna be one of those shows that everything's kind of interwoven
Yeah,
because I mean it was a whole team effort. But Sneed, what the man? Seriously?
yeah.
What the hell, dude? You look you look like a average cornerback out there. Okay, he got burnt twice,
Mm-hmm.
like bad. It was just one of them was really underthrown or overthrown, excuse
Overthrown.
me, by the
Yep.
quarterback. Yeah, but I mean, dude, yeah, man.
Yeah. And I'll say this: Snead obviously did not have his best game, but the play of others made up for that. And this was still a good defense. Of all the turnovers, I still think they allowed 0 points off turnovers.
Hmm.
And typically, look, if you're a defense in the NFL and you hold the other team to 2 touchdowns or less, that's usually a win. In today's NFL, that's typically a win. And I
Yeah,
thought
it's
the
good.
defense did more than enough for what
Hmm.
they had to do to keep the offense in this game. But like I said, they were getting burned. And I feel like part of that was because of how much he was on the field, because they were having to come out after 3 and out, interception, 3 and out. So
Yeah,
yeah, so I give him a little bit of flack there, just because even though he had a big day, even though he had a bad day, the defense as a whole found a way to overcome some of those obstacles and still be pretty successful and give this team a chance to win.
yeah, man.
Oh, froze out on me. Might be having more technical difficulties here.
Yeah, we are having technical difficulties. We need more sacks, is what I'm trying to say. We need
Yeah.
more pressure.
Yep.
That is 100% accurate.
Mhm.
Um, but I want to try to get off of all this negativity and do some positivity, which is there's not a whole lot positive to talk about, but we are going to come back and we're going to talk about some positive stuff. But stick around. We got about a 40-second ad for our advertisers. What's up, Titans fans? Maximus Titan fan here. Are you in need of professional excavation services? Look no further. Red Zone Builders has the expertise, experience, and equipment to handle all or any excavation project, big or small. Whether you need land clearing, site preparation, trenching, foundation excavation, or any other excavation services, they have you covered. Their team of skilled professionals work diligently to ensure your project is completed safely, efficiently, and to your satisfaction. Trust the experts at Red Zone Builders to get the job done right. And we're back. I told you that was quick. We're going to try and talk about some good stuff. I'm not going to say some bad stuff ain't going to leak through. We're going to try and talk about some good stuff. Jeffrey Simmons is back in a big way. I tell you, there was a lot of plays where you see a pile of bodies, and then all of a sudden at the bottom of the pile, up comes Jeffrey Simmons doing his little, because, I mean, he was on fire, dude. Pass rush win rate, 40% this week, which was second in the NFL. His week back and Sweat's still dominating. He still did really well. I don't know how well he did on the pass rush, but he did do well in the run stuff. And dude is athletic for such a big guy. I can't get over that. Every time I see him live, I'm like, Jesus Christ. Because he's a huge guy, but he moves like much smaller than I don't know. It's impressive, but thank you, Jeffrey Simmons, for coming back the way that, I know you would. That's why you're one of my favorite Titans.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. He had a good day. Brownlee really impressed me on the defense. I thought he stepped up, did an amazing job. Sweat did what Sweat does. I mean, he ate up the interior. And then Landry, two QB hits, two tackles for loss. I mean, I feel like the pressure was a little bit better at least. But yeah, again, I think the defense did enough. It was a good day for him.
Yeah.
I would say my biggest bright spot, like I said, was Brownlee. I was really impressed with what he was able to do. I think
Hmm.
that dude's going to be a star. I think that dude's going to be a star for sure. That's a good
That
point
was
guard.
my next bullet point.
Yep.
Was Jarvis Brownlee Jr. Dude is playing like a 3-4 year vet. I mean, the kind of confidence that he's coming out and the aggressiveness that he's playing with is he's actually Brownlee played like I thought Snead would be playing, which he is. But I mean, the game that he had last week was not. I was literally some of the defensive plays. I was literally just watching Snead. I was just watching him to see how he comes off the line or hits the receiver, tries to take him off his game, because I know that's a big thing, and you can't see it on TV all the time, because the quarterback is really what they're focusing on. So I really wanted to see that in live person. I don't know how many cell phone videos, and I watch them all day today, and I see many times he didn't. But Jarvis Brownlee Jr. was amazing. And
Yep.
that's what we're talking about. We're talking about how great he did.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think he had the one PI call, which it was, but that's a rookie thing. He's going to work past that. And say what you want about Snead's play, but I think it is very important that Brownlee's been able to come in and kind of set under a veteran like that and learn the way that he does things, because their play style is extremely extremely similar. And I see exactly what Snead was talking about, saying he sees a younger version of himself. So
Yeah.
super 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 impressed with him so far.
Let's just take for a second here. Let's talk about an alternate universe where the Titans don't draft Jarvis Brownlee Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Who would be starting
Trey
since
Avery.
Cheeto wasn't able to? Yeah, Trey Avery. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Oh my God, no.
Absolutely.
There was two really bad special teams missed tackles on returners that me and Scoop watched or whatever. And both times I pointed it out the second time because I was like, hey, wasn't that one on Trey Avery too?
Mm-hmm.
Both times it was on Trey Avery. Bro, could have had him down within 5 yards. They ended up making a 15, 20-yard. It was stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Anyway.
agree. And then I'll say too, another bright spot, kind of an understated piece to this defense, I think, has been Quandre Diggs. I think he's been a lot more important than it shows up on paper and on the game, because that first touchdown was right after he came out of the game, and they specifically went straight to that. They're like, oh, Quandre Diggs is out of the game. Here's a chance for a deep shot. I think he does a lot more. They did, exactly. I think he does a lot more for that defense than what shows up on paper. I think he does a good job of getting everybody organized and in the right positions. And I'll say that about the linebackers too. I thought they played a pretty good game. Ernest and Murray both. I'm telling you, there are leaders on this defense, and that's why I just want to see this offense be somewhat capable, so that this defense can shine and we can keep some of these pieces, because the last thing I want to do is lose a guy like Diggs or lose a guy like Jones or lose a guy like Simmons because they're so frustrated that this team can't figure out a way to win these games. That's what I want to prevent.
Yeah. And I think we're getting close to that. I think we're getting close to what they call losing the locker room on Twitter. But positivity. Yeah. Tony Pollard had another really solid game.
Yeah.
17 carries for 93 yards, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 93 yards and a touchdown. Really solid game. And again, if you haven't, go check out our YouTube channel out. There's that video of what it's like to be in the stadium when you see Tony Pollard get a draw play on a 3rd and 19 and just make people miss and just runs through arm tackle. It was a beautiful thing to watch. on the big screen because was on the other side and we were in the end zone. So,
Mhm.
but it was really cool. I mean, the video's really awesome, man. If you haven't watched it, go check it out because it really does. If especially if you've never been, if you don't know what it's like to be at the stadium, there's a reason that people pay that much money to go there. It's because it was awesome. Yes, another good positive point. No sacks in the game,
Yep.
not one.
Yep. And I'll
Some
go back to
penalties,
I'll
but
go, but
no
well,
sacks.
and that's what I was going to get to, and I'll go back to Pollard first because if you had told me before the season that in this game Tajay Spears was going to go down, and then after they'd announced he'd be week to week, I'd be very concerned because of how
Hmm.
big a piece Tajay Spears is in this offense. But I feel okay with Tony Pollard being a featured back. I don't necessarily think that he should earn a starting job over Tajay Spears. I still think that those carries should be split, but if one of those guys goes down, I feel very confident in the other one to go in and get things done as a 3 down back. And that's something we haven't had in a while. Even with Henry, I didn't feel like you had a 3 down back. You needed that other threat. Pollard can kind of do it all, and he's been a big piece to this. And his run game is part of what helped this offensive line out. And yeah, they've given up 1 sack in the last 2 weeks. It's a huge improvement. Leroy Watson came in. Yes, he had some pre-snap penalties, but every single one of those drives where he had a penalty, they found a way to overcome that penalty. Every single drive where he had a penalty, they got a first down on that drive. So able to overcome those mistakes, not giving up a lot of sacks, really opening things up in the run game. And that's another guy I want to point to, another rookie, J.C. Latham. He's going to be a star. I've got a lot of confidence in this dude at left
Yep.
tackle. I think he's here for a long time. I think he becomes the anchor of that offensive line. Super happy with what I've seen from him.
By the way, to all those people who said that they were only bringing Watson in as a motivation for MPF and that he wouldn't really start, and if he did, he wouldn't really get that many carries, or I mean, snaps, and even if he did, he wouldn't have a good game. Ha 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 ha. Ha.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
it just goes to show you how bad MPF is. It's not a slight on the coaching. It's just, man, what were you doing? They're positive, positive.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
I have
and
to
and
keep telling myself that.
and we're going to be positive, but look, that's another misstep on this coaching staff because don't we have, what do we call him, offensive line Jesus, that he was going to come in, have this thing working the way it's supposed to, and to his credit, he has the last 2 weeks. But I mean, to stick with NPF this long when you had Leroy Watson sitting there, now you have to question that decision. So we'll see down the road if Watson's able to sustain that and if he's going to be able to stay good in these games. But just another question mark on where has this been all season?
Well, I think part of that was scheme. Plus, if you look at who rushes against that player in practice, it would be Harold Landry.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, yes, Harold Landry is our sack leader. I don't want to take anything away from him, but he's not as good as I want him to be. He just doesn't get the consistent pressure that I want. He gets the sack. I mean, like, he gets the 1 to 2 sacks a game, which is what you're looking for, but he doesn't give you that consistent pressure that you're looking for. Um, so I mean, from a practice standpoint, I guess I can see why, but it was really more of a scheme thing. He wanted somebody who was athletic, that he could pull if he wanted to, because they do a lot of that kind of stuff with the run game. And I understand exactly why they kept MPF, but at the same time, I don't understand why we did not keep Watson. But let's be honest, truth be told, neither one of them would be starting if Sadiq Charles didn't retire.
Yeah, that
So
hurt. Yeah, that hurt. I'll give you that. And you made an interesting point too, just in saying that about Landry. Curious on your thought as far as the pass rush. And again, I don't want to spend too much on this because I think the defense as a whole is doing a good job. I think they're
yeah,
holding up when they need to hold up. They're keeping the offense in every single game. I mean, this is another 1-score game that they've led in the fourth quarter. So I do think the defense is doing enough. But on that point of Landry, do you think Arden Key being on the other side hinders him a little bit? Do you think Landry, if he had another if there was another Harold Landry, if you had two Harold Landrys, do you think they would play a little bit better? Or do you think do we almost expect too much because Arden Key is not doing what he's lived up to be supposed to doing either?
I think Harold Landry lacks a counter move.
Okay.
He's amazing at getting off the snap, getting ahead of the blocker, and catching him on the edge and getting around the edge. That's really what he's good at. Other than that, I mean, you have those guys that can do the swim moves or, spin inside and still catch. He's never been that guy. As far as I can tell, his bull rush, or not really bull rush, because he doesn't really go straight at him. He kind of tries to, like I said, get the edge on him, and he does. His get off is probably one of the best in the NFL. I guarantee you that. If you measured how fast he takes off from when the quarterback snaps the ball, I'll bet he's in the top 3 of the NFL. I bet money on that. But as far as the consistent pressure, I'll bet he's in the lower 10 in the NFL.
That's fair.
I mean, and I'm just throwing it out there because, I mean, the guy just, like I said, he don't have a counter move.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it on TV, but Kyle Van Bosch was at the game. He was the Titans legend of the game or whatever. He came in. It's a beautiful example of what Harold Landry wants to be.
I got you.
Because Van Bosch had the same thing. Quick step off around the edge. That was his best move. However, he had a motor that would not quit. So if we held up good in the coverage, we knew if we gave Van Bosch a little bit of time, especially when he was paired up with Hainsworth and crap, I can't remember the other edge's name. Curse. Dude, they were sick. I mean, it was almost unstoppable.
Yep.
So, yeah.
I get that. And I'm with you on that point. And again, I preface that by saying, look, I still think it's a good defense. I think Landry's doing enough to still be there. I just
good. I don't want to take anything away from him. Like I said.
Oh yeah. No, I'm with you. And I agree. But let's remember, when's the last time the Titans drafted besides Landry, because Landry was drafted in the second round, when's the last time they took a first round edge rusher? Can you even, there's a piece of trivia for you. You even know?
I know Curse was a first round.
Was he? Okay.
I don't know. I don't know if we've ever, I mean, technically Cameron Wembley was a first round draft pick, but we picked him up as a free agent. So I don't think that counts.
So if Curse was there at 1999, and that's another part of this. A lot of teams that are successful in the NFL are homegrown. The offensive line, the edge rushers, the quarterback, and maybe that's what they're trying to do with Levis is just work on that homegrown stuff. But man, I don't know. I got to see some things change.
Yeah, and just to quickly wrap up the last little bit of good news I had. NWI caught a touchdown. Hey, Mr. Reliable. What do you have? Like two snaps and he ends up catching a touchdown. What is that?
Yep.
And then special teams. I have to give him credit where credit is due. Special teams actually, besides the tackling, special teams actually did look better. And, well, okay, I guess I got to throw JJ under the bus too. I'm sure he was told by the coaches to let those 2 balls go, but what the shit, man? Fair catch that. What are you doing? I mean, I thought they already told you that with the other thing with the kickoff. Just fair catch the damn ball. If it's a penalty on them, it's a penalty. If it goes behind you, you fair catch it.
Yeah, it's not good when your baseline on special teams is, well, they didn't allow a blocked punt this week. I mean, but it's true. But it's true. And again, it goes back to like, what are we doing? Like, what are we teaching on special teams, and why isn't there any change? And I'm not trying to get negative. I promise I'm not. But when you have a
You're
punter,
not wrong.
But when you have a punter that's doing this well now, I'll say this too. I'll say this on Stonehouse. The hang time this year is not there like it was pre-injury. And I think that gets fixed, but I don't know if you could tell from in the stadium, but from watching it, he's driving the balls, but he's not getting a lot of hang time off of them. And that's part of why some of these big returns are happening, because he's out punting the coverage so much that they're running at him full speed and he can just run by them. But that's a big part. This special teams, that's going to kill you going down the line, because you're not doing your defense any favors with the kind of field position they're giving up to start with.
I actually have a theory on why his hang time is less this year. I was
Okay.
talking with my brother-in-law because he's a crazy sports fanatic or whatever, and I like to pick his brain every now and then because he likes the Titans, but he also likes the Redskins, and he also likes the Green Bay Packers, and he also likes the he's all over the place, but mainly he's a Vols fan first. He's a college guy, but he has great football knowledge, so I like to pick his brain every now and then. And we were talking about this, and he said, well, man, would you trust their offensive line? And then I noticed, go look at last year at the tape.
Mm-hmm.
Count how many seconds on a stopwatch. I don't care how you do it. How many seconds does it take him to drop that kick? Yeah, right. Go Vols. Yeah, sure. Whatever. As long as they're not playing Georgia, I don't care. Go Vols. But take a stopwatch from the time he catches the ball until the ball comes off his foot. Stopwatch that last year.
Mm-hmm.
Stopwatch it this year. You'll see almost like about 3/4 of a second has taken off. And it's because he's scared shitless that he's going to get hit again. And I don't blame him. He had so many close calls early in this season. I wouldn't trust that line either. So he's trying to get that ball off as quickly as he can, but still not drop, because I mean, I think he had a 75-yard long in the game,
Yeah,
but it went into the end zone. But still, I mean, it's a good kick. It's a good punt. But yeah, if you can't cover the ball, it don't really matter if you're punting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that. 100%. But yeah, I mean, even in that scenario, the coverage team has to be able to tackle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a lot of what it comes down to. You've got to be ready for that. You've got to be able to tackle. They didn't do a lot of it in this game against the Colts. Felt like it was a field position game, and they lost that field position battle, in my opinion.
Yeah,
that
man.
Pretty much sums it up right there.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's ahead of the great comment there. I mean, yeah, long-winded, but yes, absolutely true. Nothing, and that's the thing, is I take up for my Titans, even sometimes when they are, I do see through two-tone blue glasses every day. It's a daily thing with me. So, yeah, have I defended Will Levis over the offseason, touting him, thinking he's going to be something that now I'm realizing he's probably not going to be, at least with our team. It sucks. I'm not happy about it. I'm very angry. I'm pissed. And I'm disappointed. That's the thing. Mm-hmm. It's just like your parents, I didn't really care if my parents were pissed off at me. That didn't bother me so much. My parents were mad at me all the time. I was a trouble kid. But if my parents were disappointed in my choices or disappointed with my behavior, not that they were pissed off, they were disappointed because they thought they raised me better. Mm-hmm. That shit hurt. That.
Oh, froze up again. But yeah, I get what you're saying. 100% get what you're saying. Oh, there you are. Yeah, it sucks, and it goes back to what we were promised before the season started. We had a lot of expectations for this team. I don't think anybody thought they were going to go on a Super Bowl run, but I expected the offense to be functional. I expected it to be functional. I expected the defense to play good, which they have. And I expected Will Levis to come in and be an NFL quarterback. And we haven't got that. And I'll say too, there's not enough fingers to point. I don't put all the blame on Levis. I don't put all the blame on the coaching staff. I don't put all the blame on Carthon. I think there are multiple failures at multiple levels. and they need to step back and figure out what they're doing for the rest of the season. And I thought that's what this bye week was going to be about. I really did. And that's the frustrating part is this was a must-win game, not for playoff hopes, not for anything like that, just to get right. Just to get right. And they didn't. They didn't. So we come out with more questions than answers, and we stay fans, and we put our faith in them, and we try to ride this thing out and figure it out because that's all we can do. That's all we can do. But I don't know. This hurts. It hurts, and it is a disappointment. It's a big disappointment, and I think they know it's a disappointment. I don't think they enjoy losing games either. Um, and you're going on the road to the Bills, and then you're going on the road to the Lions, and neither of those games look like great get right games. I mean, it's going to be a tough road, but they got to find a way to figure it out. Whether it's a new quarterback, whether it's a new scheme, whatever it is, they've got to find a way to put points on the board and figure it out.
I'll say this: if Will Levis is a true Titan, he will go for 7 touchdowns and over 750 yards for the next 2 weeks. If he's a true Titan. But we know that ain't going to happen. He's going to throw like 4 picks and fumble the ball twice. If he starts.
Man. If he does that, just come wake me up. I mean, and even if he did, let's say he does it, do you still know he's the guy? After what I mean, that's the problem. I don't think there's anything he could do for me at this point.
No.
Even if he had those stats the next 2 games, that's still not enough. I'm still going to be sitting here saying, well, do it on a consistent basis. Do it for the rest of the year. Like I'm at that point with him where it's going to be hard to find a way back into the fans' graces.
People forget, and we'll wrap up after this, but people forget that Will Levis's helmet is in the Hall of Fame because he broke NFL records in his first career start as a rookie.
Yeah.
And when we talked about that last season, we talk about all the time, we talk about consistency. And that's the one thing that Will Levis just can't do other than, bad. He's consistently bad. He consistently has stupid plays that he does that show that he's a young man in this game. But I don't know. All I know is I'm out on Will Levis.
Oh yeah.
I'm ready to move on and just see what else we can do. Now, maybe if we want to give him a shot later down the road because it's trash ass season.
Yeah, I'm with you. And for me, I don't know if Will Levis is even in on Will Levis at this point. I think he's questioning himself. It seems like every week is basically a therapy session at this point. I mean, there's no confidence there from him, from the coaching staff. And at some point, for his mental stability, you got to step back. I mean, give Rudolph a chance. And you're exactly right. If you get down to the last 3 games of the season and there's absolutely no hope and you're drafting the first 5 picks anyway, then throw him back in there and see what he's made of. But at this point, you just got to win a game or you're going to lose this locker room. You're going to lose the locker room. You're going to lose the fans. It's not a good recipe right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd be kind of irritated if I was Cali too, man. I mean, like I said, half the fan base thinks it's his fault that they're playing so crappy right now. And he's going, man, I ain't that bad. It's not, I mean, you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. But again, some positive things did happen for the Titans this week. So let's just think positive. And we'll go from there. I don't know where we go. Where do we go from here? It's a pretty toss up. I don't know. It's and yeah, what's next? Free agency, quarterback, drafting a quarterback. Man, I'll be honest with you. I don't like any of the quarterbacks coming out in this draft.
I think a lot of fans are at the point of just go get a guy that's played football before. Go get a veteran quarterback who is at least decent and can run an offense. I mean, and just like you said, I don't know if any of the guys in this draft are the guy. Maybe somebody separates themselves, but at this point, you've still got holes on this team other than quarterback. If you can get somebody, just go get somebody.
Agreed. Yeah, if there's somebody decent out there that's a good fill-in, free like people like to make fun, but Baker Mayfield, man, that's a dude that really has came on strong in the Buccaneers, and looks like they're gonna probably go into the postseason with
Yeah,
Baker Mayfield. So
yeah. There's a lot of crazy around the league. Sam Darnold, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield. I mean, it is literally last chance you NFL out here. Like there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you go draft. I don't know if you go free agency, but the guys that get paid to make those decisions need to start making those decisions.
yeah, I was gonna say I don't even start looking at that stuff until at least like week 10 or something like that. I don't even start looking at rookies. I see stuff on my Twitter and I'm just like, no, because I ain't looking at that stuff right now. But I mean, maybe I should start. But anyway, let's get off that. We're back for the whole season. We be doing 2 shows a week. You know it, Monday and Thursday, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock Central Time every week. So join us. If you stuck around this long, thank you so much. We appreciate you hanging out with us and chatting with us tonight. Any final thoughts, Link?
Tighten up. We'll get them next week.
Tighten up. Peace out.